Welcome back to Jersey Matters. I'm Larry Menti. We continue our interviews at the New Jersey State League of Municipalities in Atlantic City with Senate Minority Leader John Bramnick. Sir, thank you for doing this.
Great
Appreciate
to be here
it.
with you.
Let's start off with the gubernatorial race. Are you running?
Well, I haven't made an announcement. We're waiting to see what happens at the federal level with Chris Christie, so I've got a little time here, and so I'm looking at the field and going to make my decision pretty soon.
Why is it dependent on Chris Christie?
He stays or goes, and if Kim Kodana walks in as governor, I mean, that's a factor, I think.
That makes it difficult for you?
Well, I don't know about difficult, but that's a factor that you put into the decision-making process. Not that complicated. If she's the acting governor and she's a Republican, I think that's a pretty strong candidate.
I was in Cleveland when he made his speech to the delegation and said that he looks to you for counsel. He considers you a good friend. You've been very loyal to him. Have you talked with him? Do you know what he's doing?
I don't. I'm not sure anybody knows. I mean, I read the same newspapers you do. I'm not sure Donald Trump's made a decision on who he's taking, who he's not taking to Washington.
Rudy Giuliani said, you can quote me on this, Chris Christie's going to have a job with the administration.
He said a major role.
Okay. Major role,
Major
not necessarily
role
a job, is what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
See, you know political speak
yeah,
better than I do.
major role. He didn't say he'll be in the administration. He didn't say that. Not that I know. But.
And does that mean he may not be leaving?
Well,
is that how you read that, since you read it better than I do?
I'm not sure he's leaving. You know, that's the bottom line. I don't think anyone is. I'm not sure Donald Trump knows if Chris Christie's leaving.
Is it something you want to do? Do you want to run for governor?
Do I want to run for governor? First of all, nobody wants to run for governor. Let's get that straight. I would say this, that based on my experience for being an urban councilman, you know, being in the legislature for years, being the leader, you know, at some point I'd like to use that experience for something, you know, whether it be governor or, you know, lecturing at the college level or doing something. I'm not sure, but I want to bring that experience that I have and use it.
Some of your colleagues in the legislature would like to bring up renew the investigation into Chris Christie over Bridgegate. Is that going to happen? No.
Well, for two reasons. First of all, I think the Democratic speaker already said enough. I've said enough. You've had investigation after investigation. You had a democratically appointed U.S. attorney appointed by Barack Obama who never indicted Chris Christie. Consequently, to waste more money to find out whether or not somebody might have known something at some point, I think the public's tired of it. I think the legislature's tired of it. And I think bottom line is he didn't do anything wrong.
New Jersey's credit rating was downgraded again, and if you read the papers, it's a crisis. They're blaming the underfunded pension fund. Is that priority number one as you start the new year?
No, the reason the downgrade occurs, in my judgment, is that the legislature, which is controlled by Democrats, stopped doing reforms right about Bridgegate time. So if we could move on with more discussions on reform of the pension, if we would change this incredibly expensive platinum health benefit system, which is costing us billions, if we could restructure the school funding formula, we could change our credit rating. But to blame Chris Christie or the administration when the democratically controlled legislature won't talk about any more reforms is just unfair.
So the reforms that you would like to see going forward are, what the priorities are?
1/3 of the revenue we get in the state goes to schools. And if you don't give money to municipalities, their taxes go up, property taxes. So I'm saying start the discussion about changing that school funding formula to make it more fair.
That discussion hasn't been started? I heard Prieto's plan, I heard Sweeney's plan, I heard Christie's plan.
A plan? Well, Christie put his plan out. He said all municipalities and all students should get the same amount. I'm not sure what my friends on the Democratic side's plan is other than to study it. Why don't we have an open debate on the floor of the legislature about towns like Hoboken and Jersey City that have incredible development but are still getting money? Why can't we debate that tomorrow, next week in the legislature? I don't need to study that. I'm pretty sure that we can move that money to other municipalities.
Guaranteed quarterly payments to the pension fund, is that going to happen?
Well, I heard Steve Sweeney talk about it. I haven't spoken to the governor about that. Generally, I'd be against that for one simple reason, that most of our money comes in at the end of the fiscal year. So if you pay the money quarterly, you have to borrow money to pay that money into the pension. On the face of it, I don't think it makes any sense.
Can those guaranteed payments move forward even next year without the promise of some reform?
Well, I would hope not, because if you're going to spend more money but not do anything with respect to pension reforms, it doesn't make any sense to me. You're trying to put more money in this pension system. You're never going to put enough money in it, in my judgment. You have to put $5 to $7 billion in a year on a budget where our revenues are only $32 billion. I think it's close to impossible. We have to do more changes, such as changing the health benefits.
Sir, thank you so much. Thanks for spending the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Minority Leader in the New Jersey Senate, John Bramnick. That wraps up Jersey Matters for this week from the New Jersey State League of Municipalities Convention in Atlantic City. I'm Larry Menti. Thanks for joining us. Stick around now for another thing.